Well, I'll tell you, this is another Super Tuesday for our campaign. Thank you, Florida. Thank you, North Carolina. Thank you, Ohio. You know, although we're waiting for final results in Illinois and Missouri, we know we will add to our delegate lead to roughly 300 with over 2 million more votes nationwide. We are moving closer to securing the Democratic Party nomination and winning this election in November. You know, because of all of you and our supporters across the country, our campaign has earned more votes than any other candidate, Democrat or Republican. And I want to congratulate Senator Sanders for the vigorous campaign he's waging. Now, today, all of you in the states where contests were held voted to break down the barriers that hold us all back so every one of us can share in the promise of America. You voted. You voted for our tomorrow to be better than our yesterday. Tomorrow where all of us do our part and everyone has a chance to live up to his or her God-given potential. Because that's how America can live up to its potential too. Now we need you to keep working, keep volunteering, keep contributing at HillaryClinton.com. Please join the 950,000 supporters who already have contributed, most less than $100, because our campaign depends on small donations for the majority of our support. We can't do this without you. So if you've been waiting for the right moment, now's the time to come join us. You know, tonight it's clearer than ever that this may be one of the most consequential campaigns of our lifetimes. The next president will walk into the Oval Office next January, sit down at that desk, and start making decisions that will affect the lives and the livelihoods of everyone in this country, indeed everyone on this planet. Now, I know that easy decisions don't make it to the president's desk, only the hardest choices and the thorniest problems. I saw President Obama wrestle with the decision to send Navy SEALs after Osama bin Laden, the decision to rescue the auto industry, to fight for the Affordable Care Act, and so many more. And so, our next president has to be ready to face three big tests. First, can you make positive differences in people's lives? Second, can you keep us safe? Third, can you bring our country together again? Now, making differences in people's lives comes first because Americans everywhere are hungry for solutions. They want to break down the barriers holding them back so we can all rise together. Ask any parent. You'll hear nothing is more important than making sure their kids have a good school and a good teacher no matter what zip code they live in. They deserve a president who understands that when we invest in our children's education, We're investing in all of our futures. And young people across America struggling under the weight of student debt find it difficult to imagine the futures they want. And they deserve a president who will help relieve them of that burden and help future generations go to college without borrowing a dime for tuition. And you know, grandparents who worry about retirement deserves a president who will protect and then expand Social Security for those who need it most, not cut or privatize it. Families deserve a president who will fight for the things that are priorities at home, but too often aren't priorities in Washington: affordable child care, paid family leave, and something we have waited for long enough: equal pay for equal work for women. And above all, hardworking Americans across our country deserve a president with both the ideas and the know-how to create good jobs with rising incomes right here in our country. And I am absolutely convinced that we have the tools to do that. That's why I've laid out a program to do what can be done. More good jobs in infrastructure, more good jobs in manufacturing. More good jobs in small businesses. More good jobs in clean, renewable energy. Good-paying jobs are the ticket to the middle class, and we're going to stand up for the American middle class again. We're going to stand up for American workers and make sure no one takes advantage of us. Not China, not Wall Street, and not overpaid corporate executives. Now look, of course, every candidate makes promises like this. But every candidate owes it to you to be clear and direct about what our plans will cost and how we're going to make them work. That's the difference between running for president and being president. And I'll tell you, second big test for our next president is keeping us safe. We live in a complex and, yes, a dangerous world. Protecting America's national security can never be an afterthought. Our commander-in-chief has to be able to defend our country, not embarrass it. Engage our allies, not alienate them. Defeat our adversaries, not embolden them. When we hear a candidate for president call for rounding up 12 million immigrants, banning all Muslims from entering the United States, when he embraces torture, that doesn't make him strong, it makes him wrong. And yes, our next president has to bring our country together so we can all share in the promise of America. We should be breaking down barriers, not building walls. We're not going to succeed by dividing this country between us and them. You know, to be great, we can't be small. We can't lose what made America great in the first place. And this isn't just about Donald Trump. All of us have to do our part. We can't just talk about economic inequality. We have to take on all forms of inequality and discrimination. Together, we have to defend all of our rights, civil rights and voting rights, workers' rights and women's rights, LGBT rights, and rights for people with disabilities. And that starts by standing with President Obama when he nominates a justice to the Supreme Court. Our next president will face all these challenges and more. You know, running for president is hard, but being president is harder. It is the hardest, most important job in the world, and no one person can succeed at the job without seeking and finding common ground to solve the problems we face. If we work together, we can make a real difference in people's lives. If we reach out to treat each other with respect, kindness, and even love instead of bluster and bigotry, if we lift each other up instead of tearing each other down, there's nothing we can't accomplish together. So please join me in this campaign. Every vote counts. Every volunteer hour counts. Every contribution counts. 8 years ago, on the night of the Ohio primary, I said I was running for everyone who's ever been counted out but refused to be knocked out, for everyone who has stumbled but stood right back up, for everyone who works hard and never gives up. Well, that is still true. Our campaign is for the steel worker I met in Ohio on Sunday night, who's laid off but hoping to get back to work. It's for the mother I met in Miami, whose 5 children haven't seen their father since he was deported. She dreams of a day when deportations end and families are reunited on a path to citizenship in America. And it is for the mothers I stood with in Chicago yesterday who have lost children to gun violence. They're turning their sorrow into a strategy and their mourning into a movement. Let's stand with people who have courage, who have resilience. Let's stand with everyone who believes America's best days are ahead of us. For all of our challenges, I've never had more faith in our future. And if we work together, if we go forward in this campaign, if we win in November, I know our future will be brighter tomorrow than yesterday. Thank you all so very much.